Part 1, the fantasy. I used to think downsizing would be freedom. You know what I mean, right? No more clutter, no more mess. Just a simple, clean home with sunlight pouring through the windows, empty countertops, and closets that breathe. I pictured my new life like one of those magazines. A tiny home, a cozy chair by the window, a plant or two, and peace, just peace. And if I'm being honest, I was tired of stuff, tired of dusting things I didn't love, tired of the weight of a house that once held a family, but now mostly held silence. I thought, this is it. I'm finally going to let go. I wanted more space, more time, more clarity, and less. Well, just less. That was the dream. I had no idea that dream would be the first thing I'd have to let go of. It started with one box. Just one. I told myself, I'll start easy. A few things in the basement. Just old papers. Maybe a sweater or two. But when I opened that box, it wasn't just clutter. It was my life. Birthday cards my son had made in crooked handwriting. Photos of my parents, smiling in a way I hadn't seen since before the nursing homes. A love letter I forgot I'd kept. Suddenly, I wasn't downsizing. I was grieving. That box didn't hold junk. It held stories. Versions of me I'd forgotten existed. And I froze. Because I realized something no book or YouTube minimalist ever told me. Letting go of stuff isn't hard because it's stuff. It's hard because it's us. I sat there for hours, not sorting, not cleaning, just remembering. I'd gone in ready to simplify my space. Instead, I found myself looking at the truth. Downsizing is not about cleaning out rooms. It's about confronting the life you've lived. And if you're not ready for that, no checklist or storage bin will help you. Part 2, the emotional shock. I thought the hardest part of downsizing would be the physical labor. Packing, lifting, donating, making decisions. But it wasn't. The hardest part was the wave of emotion I didn't see coming. It started with small things. A pair of glasses that used to belong to my father. A chipped mug from my first apartment. A scarf my sister gave me before she moved across the country. Things I hadn't touched in years, but suddenly couldn't let go of. It hit me like a quiet storm. Each object whispered, "Remember this? This was you once." And as I sat there surrounded by boxes, I realized something strange. My home wasn't just full of things. It was full of people who were gone, moments I hadn't fully grieved, and versions of myself I wasn't ready to say goodbye to. Clutter is often emotional, not practical. I used to roll my eyes when people said, "My stuff has sentimental value." But now I understand. It's not that we're attached to the object. We're attached to the feeling it holds. Letting go of a thing often means letting go of a part of our identity. And when you're in your 60s or 70s, those pieces start to feel sacred, like relics of the person you once were. That sweater? You wore it when your daughter called to say she got the job. That dusty envelope? It's the last Christmas card you got from your mother. That old camera? It hasn't worked in years. But you still remember the way your partner laughed as you tried to take a family photo that Thanksgiving. They're not just things. They're little anchors holding you to a life that's past. And when you pull them up, sometimes it hurts. Why it hits harder after 60. I think this part hits hardest when you're older. Because when you're young, you have tomorrows to replace the yesterdays. You let go of one memory, and you make 5 more by Friday. But later in life, your past starts to feel heavier. There are fewer firsts. And the lasts? Well, some of them already happened. So you hold on. Not because you're a hoarder, but because the silence that comes after letting go can be deafening. I made mistakes too. I rushed the process. I thought, let's just get this done. I tried to do it alone. No one to talk to. No one to say, yes, this mattered. I moved too quickly. I cried in the kitchen. I snapped at my son for suggesting we toss the box of videotapes. And I realized this wasn't just about decluttering. This was about processing a life, one drawer at a time. No one tells you that you'll feel guilt, grief, sometimes even anger, at yourself, at your kids for not wanting your heirlooms, at the world for changing so fast. I had to stop for a few days, not because I was tired physically, but because I was tired emotionally. That's when I understood. Downsizing is a kind of mourning, and mourning takes time. But here's the thing. When I let myself feel it, all of it, something else started to happen. A lightness, a quietness. Not the painful silence of loss, but the peaceful silence of space. Part 3. What I gained after letting go. I didn't think it would feel this way. After all the crying, the sorting, the pausing to remember, I thought I'd feel empty. Instead, I felt lighter, not just in my home, but in my heart. When you downsize, you think you're just making space in a room, but what I discovered was something no article or checklist ever said. You make space in yourself. Space to think, to breathe, to reflect. For the first time in years, I wasn't constantly managing things. I was simply living. And in that quiet, I started to hear something I hadn't heard in a long time. My own voice. Letting go isn't just about the past. You see, I thought I was letting go of the past. And I was. But I was also making room for a different future. One that isn't about objects or closets or collections. One that's about connection, clarity, and peace. And here's the most unexpected part. What I feared I'd lose, my memories, my identity, my stories, didn't disappear when I let go of the stuff. They became clearer, because they weren't buried anymore. They weren't shoved into attics or back rooms. They were right here, in me, where they belonged all along. If you're over 60 and thinking about downsizing, I won't lie to you. It's emotional. It's harder than people say. It's not just organizing, it's grieving. It's not just simplifying, it's transforming. But you can do it, not all at once, not in a weekend, but gently, over time. And when you do, you'll start to notice something else. Life becomes less about what you own, and more about who you are. My home is smaller now, but my life, it's bigger. I have fewer things, but more peace. Fewer piles, but more clarity. I no longer keep things just because I might need them someday. Now I ask, do I need this today? And often the answer is no, because what I really need is time. Energy, love, presence. None of that comes from a box in the basement. If you're standing at the edge of this journey, if you've been wondering whether it's time, or if you've already started and feel overwhelmed, you're not alone. This isn't just a chore. It's a sacred process, one that frees you not just from clutter, but from the weight of everything you thought you had to hold on to. Tell me your story. Have you started letting go? What surprised you the most? And if this video gave you comfort, please share it with someone who's thinking about starting over, in a smaller space, but with a bigger heart.